Sent a request. Go live.
Hey, what's
Hey,
going on?
Saff. Hey,
What's up?
Saff.
How
Can
are
you
you?
hear me okay?
I can, yes, sir.
How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good.
Friday night in quarantine?
Yeah, yep. This about it right here. This is what I've been doing no matter
E-
what. So,
Exactly,
great.
exactly. And so you're
Yeah.
out in LA right now, right?
Well, Redlands. I'm in
Okay.
Redlands, California, about an hour east of LA. So, yeah,
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
Well, first off, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening or your early evening because it's at 5 o'clock right there. But we're very honored to have you on here tonight. So
No, it's a pleasure to be here, man. Thank you for having me. Honestly.
th- thank you, thank you. So we're looking forward. So there's going to be a lot of questions that will be popping up. I'll keep a close eye on them, Saf. And
Cool.
then we also had a lot of questions sent in to us throughout the week. So let's have some fun.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I'm excited.
So back to quarantine. I mean, what are you doing these days now after all the fame from Tiger King, and how are you staying busy and staying focused?
Yeah, staying busy is not hard at all. I got three kids at home, so yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
to stay busy around here, but staying focused is a little harder, man. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not one to stay indoors, honestly. My whole life is outdoors, so
I was gonna
it's just
say, right.
yeah, navigating that is different. But it's been nice. Cali weather's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We're out here in Boston, so we're trying to get around the corner to our summer weather, but it's
right,
just
right.
not there yet. So,
It's not there yet. Yeah, no, I talked to someone from Pennsylvania. They said it's freezing there, so I think if
yeah,
they're, and I don't know, man.
it's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it's
Um,
hard.
Yeah. So we have a lot of Tiger King fans in here. Deanna, who's a very close friend of mine, she just joined and she had sent in a lot of questions. So
Cool. I'm excited.
yes. All right. So let's get into some fun here. Um, to begin, would you rather have a tiger as a pet or within the zoo?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I've had both,
Right.
and they both come with their own issues and obviously their own rewards.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, though, honestly, honest opinion, I would pet in my house, man. I mean,
Yeah.
the closer I can be to it, the better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. How do you think this whole series on Netflix have, will shed more light on tigers and, wildlife and the zoos?
Oh man, you know what? It already has. I mean, there's so many more eyes on this issue alone just because
Yeah.
of that it already has made a pretty significant difference. And it's just awareness, really. I mean, you
Right.
don't agree with any of it. You don't even have to be interested in any of it. But it obviously has reached a much larger audience, and I almost guarantee you, man, the internet saw more. What's the problem with exotic tigers, or just in Google in general? I'm sure that they have
Yeah.
seen that question arise way more in the past 3 weeks than it
Oh,
ever
yeah.
has in the 10 years that I've been doing it. So that
Yep.
alone is definitely a benefit to the documentary.
For sure. And I feel like, Sap, whenever I go on CNN or just, like Google, I'll get
Right?
like a headline that has to do with the zoo or the tigers and the exotic
That's
animals. So,
yeah, yeah. It's incredible the difference. So I was pretty happy about that. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Zach Rubin wants to know, Sap, how did you stay so positive after everything that happened,
Oh,
and especially with such a crazy boss, Joe?
right. I didn't pay Joe much attention, honestly. Obviously it's his park, it's his animals,
Right.
and for the most part, it's his protocol. Uh, but I was the one handling these animals on a daily basis. Not to say I wasn't following his guide, but
Yeah.
I mean, there were 90% of the time I knew more about those animals than Joe did because I was the one working with them one on one every day. So that was really it, man. It wasn't that I had to force myself to focus away from him.
Yeah.
I didn't pay him any mind unless it came to animal care. So yeah, it was
And
easy.
remind us again, how long were you there for, Saf?
2010 to 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Great question, Zach. So, playing off of that, someone else had submitted a prior question, Saff. The most crazy, unique experience or story that you have that has to do with Joe, outside of what was already showcased in the series.
Outside of what was already showcased, I know that they did showcase some of his music videos, that he filmed himself.
Yeah,
Um, and basically that consisted of taking his TV crew, his production crew, and going to some location, and filming. And I think the craziest experience I've ever seen personally with him, um, was when he filmed the one with John Finley. We were down at the lake property, man, and they were just rolling around in the snow for like 2 hours filming this video. And every time I popped in on them, because I was working, I would just pop in. It
sure.
just seemed like it got more like just more out there than anything. But they looked like they were having a blast.
Yeah,
I never something like that. So that aside from the animal stuff is definitely the craziest thing I've ever seen or experienced with Joe. Just
yeah.
something out of this world, man.
Wild, wild.
Honestly, Joe was a theme park ride. I mean, from
Exactly.
the end, he constantly had your stomach in knots. So
Yeah. I was gonna say, I mean, I'm just surprised, personally, Saf, that I've never heard of, the zoo or, Joe, because after, all this came out on Netflix, I was up one night at like, 4 a.m. on YouTube.
right,
There are tons of videos, from his TV series or that podcast, and he had a very strong presence online, but it's
oh,
just crazy that up until the Netflix, people were just in the dark on it.
right, yeah, and he tried to get himself out there. I mean, constantly, anything he could do, any platform he could use, um, he tried. But I think because of our location, Wynnewood, Oklahoma, is not on any map.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly.
true.
Um, and then, of course, because of the audience, that he was reaching the same, 40 or 50 people every time. Um,
Yeah.
so I can promise you he's elated right now. Regardless of where he's at, he is elated. So,
Will he be elated, Saf, when he finds out that one of his button downs just sold for $11,000 on eBay? That's the real question.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure that he would have some kind of some kind of reaction to that, but it does depend on who's getting the finances.
Exactly.
Not
Exactly.
If it's not him, I can
Right.
imagine he won't be so happy about it.
Yeah.
But I
Right.
mean, and that's what I mean by just the level that this has reached. Not
Yeah.
only spoke about at a presidential campaign or a presidential speech the other day. The
Right.
president of the United States spoke about him. But his clothing items are selling in the tens of thousands. It's incredible.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. So another question, Asaf. What was the very first thought, the very, very first thought initially when the accident had happened at the zoo
Yeah.
that was
Initially,
going through your head?
it was honestly, it was just the crew members that I had right there with me. I had about 9 crew members
Yeah.
running cages for me, because this was just one tiger cage that I was cleaning out of maybe 15.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the customers. We were open to the public at that time on that day. So it was just the safety of the other people around me. That was my initial, concern. And thankfully, I was able to contain the tiger
Yeah.
uh, and remove myself from that situation. And then it was just a matter of staying calm so no one else panicked.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Susan wants to know, so I know that you did not receive any compensation for that injury, but a prosthetic arm.
Yeah. So I did pursue one within
Yeah.
the year.
Yeah.
So clear into the beginning of 2014, I was at that time pursuing a prosthetic.
Yeah.
But in the time it took me to actually, begin the process of pursuing a prosthetic, I realized I don't need one. I
Right.
just gave it up, man. I just called it a day and said, you know what, let's just truck on with what we got. So I did.
You're a beast, man. And you had returned to work in less than a week, right?
I did, yeah. 7 days from the incident and
Wow.
5 from the amputation.
Wow. I
Yeah.
commend you for that, Seth. Really.
Yeah. I had to get back, man. That was my main thing. I knew the longer I stayed in that hospital, the bigger a story it was gonna be. So wasn't
That's
gonna have
true.
it.
That's true. Yeah.
Yep.
I
But
have
so,
my, yep, for sure. I have my second phone here, so if I'm looking down, I'm just scrolling through the questions that had
oh, you're
come through from the
fine.
chat. Let's see. Zachary also wants to know, Saff, who would you rather work for in the current day? Joe, Jeff, and why? Joe or Jeff,
You know,
and why? Yeah, if you had to pick one, I guess, because that's a tough one.
if I had to pick one, yeah, I'm gonna put it out there that I wouldn't work for either of them. But if I had to pick between the two, it would probably be Joe again, just because I know, you know what I
Yeah,
mean. I know his routine and his. Me and Jeff were always pretty formal and cordial,
yeah,
but we don't have any type of personal relationship. So
right.
I would just go back to what's familiar is really it. But I wouldn't work for either of them.
Valid answer. Valid answer. Uh, there's been a lot of rumors, like floating around that Jeff is potentially Carol's ex-husband. I'm not sure if you've seen that. I saw some, posts on Facebook, but
That is hilarious. It's funny on so many levels because Jeff and Carol would probably make an amazing couple. They're both pretty interesting.
yeah.
I've never heard that personally. That's the first time I heard it right there.
It started to pop up online, I think, on Tuesday, and then I saw like just the whole trickle effect where they showed photos of her ex-husband and now, Jeff, and there's a resemblance, and who knows?
Who knows, man? Who
Yeah.
knows? I'm sure that there's an awesome backstory to it for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Did you ever eat any of the meat, Seth, from Walmart?
I didn't, and it's so funny that that's brought up because it was never such an issue on Park.
Yeah.
Honestly, I never heard that until this documentary came out.
Yeah.
I obviously heard about Joe using the meat improperly, and that's kind of why we lost our contracts.
Yeah.
People didn't want to donate to us if we're taking advantage of it.
Right.
Within our contract, it's supposed to go towards the animals, and if it
Yeah.
doesn't, that's something that they don't take lightly. So yeah, that was the only thing that I ever heard on it, and it's so funny that it just blew up into this big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
In one of the videos that I saw on YouTube from like 6 years ago, he had made a whole like 5-minute clip of like world hunger and kids who don't have any food, and then he's dumping a whole entire truck of all that food into like, the dumpster, and he's like, "This is right."
Move around this cord. Give me
Yeah,
one.
no problem, no problem, no problem at all. A lot of great questions, guys, and I appreciate all you tuning into this very special chat that we're having
Yeah,
tonight. So
definitely. Very excited to be here. So, but yeah, no, when the documentary came out, it's kind of seemed like they took a lot of things and they sensationalized it, and that was one of the things I would say.
yeah,
That a little bit sensationalized, just from my opinion.
yeah,
So
for sure. Let's see what else we got here. I know one of our VIP members, Jordan, wants to know, how did the animals react, Saf, to the cameras all around them at all times?
it didn't seem to bother a lot of the cats. Obviously there's times we used to use drones as well. Joe used a lot of drones. Those got their attention.
Yeah,
Just cat anything moving, they want their paws on it.
yeah.
But other than that, just they were just people with these weird things in their hand. Now the primates on Park, they definitely reacted to it different, which is why we don't have much footage of the primates because and they wanted those cameras. You got close
Oh,
enough, yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Let's see. Brittany over in Sharon wants to know, are you ready, Saf, for the celebrity life once quarantine comes to an end? Because we
Uh,
all know what's coming.
I'm not even ready for it right now. I've always been very low key, very to myself.
Yeah.
So I love reaching out to people. I love that people reach out. And I thoroughly enjoy being able to speak for myself. So I enjoy that part of it, but I'm definitely not ready for the boom now.
It's coming though, and from a business standpoint, I'm curious. I mean, what's your vision? How do you want to, leverage this, and what do you have in mind, that you want to, capitalize on? Because, You are a celebrity now.
I think, honestly, right now, from my point of view, I love that I have a platform and I want to
Yeah,
put motion, in positive ways that I can be a part of, So I think that's the way that I'm looking at it or viewing it right now is, I am lucky enough to have a platform and
right.
I can use that, positively. I would love to
Sure,
take it.
for sure. Awesome. Outside of tigers, what tigers and cats, what other animals are you fond of?
Oh man, I fell in love with a bear.
A
Yeah,
bear.
love with a bear in 2012. And
Wow.
and they're the favorite. They're the most amazing animals.
Yeah,
Tigers are, but bears are so smart, man, and
yeah,
they're so I got to watch them, consume meat and fruits, and I just saw a lot of human qualities in them.
yeah.
Deal with the face. I just fell in love with them, man. It's the best.
It's crazy. I mean, typically, when you hear about a bear, you want to go in the other direction, but
Right, right. Yeah, not this guy.
awesome. Were there any close calls and close incidents from any of the tigers and the visitors?
And the visitors know.
Yeah,
And that's because a lot of the interactions that we did off around park, the animals were, either teeny tiny little babies or they were just easily handleable. They
yeah,
done it and they're just used to it. And most of the animals that we use, they grew up in our living rooms, so it made it really really easy on us.
wow,
But I know there was a few incidents before I got to park,
yeah,
and then also know there was a few after I left. But no, other than that, no, it's pretty easy to contain or handle or control a
yeah,
pound baby tiger when I'm
right.
controlling a 600 pound one. So
But at any point, they could decide to change their mind and go in a different direction. So,
absolutely, it's never a matter of they're doing what you're asking of them. They're never doing what I'm asking of them. They're
yeah,
just doing it and they're okay with it. So yeah, I mean, if they wanted to change the routine, I got no say in that.
yeah,
Yeah,
touche.
yeah,
So, outside of quarantine, is the zoo still open?
it is.
Or
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
So in their very last interview, they said so. I'm not at the zoo anymore. So
gotcha.
yeah,
Are you still involved with animals? Are you working within the same realm
right,
at all, or
right. Obviously, I have connections in the industry.
yeah,
When I left the park, I took my animals with me. So I do interact with them on a personal level. I just don't do it on a professional platform anymore. Yeah.
gotcha. Zach wants to know who had a better zoo, Joe or Carol, and are those types of zoos going to be allowed for profit awareness? Or, sorry, are they going to be for profit or are they going to be for awareness?
Right. Yeah. It's pretty easy to say that they're both for profit just because we charge people
Yeah,
just to come into the zoo. Um, if I have to, I think just in sheer numbers, Joe's Zoo at the time that Joe owned it
yeah,
was Carol's. It had more types of animals than Carol's, but all in all, they're the exact same thing.
right.
They're animals in cages
Yeah,
for the public to come and admire. So.
for sure. What would you say is that one moment where you realize that you just have this love for the animals and this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, it was definitely when I was probably my first day there was the solid realization that yeah, this is where I belong.
Yeah,
But I my whole life, man, I really have. I was the kid that would bring home like lizards and anything that I found on the side of the street. I brought it
yeah.
home. Now you can live with me, buddy. That's it for
How
sure.
many cats do you currently have, Saff?
I don't have any pets in home. My children have hamsters. We just got them hamsters because they've been home for the past
Yeah,
3 weeks, and they needed something else besides tablets and iPads.
yeah.
So we got them
Have
a
they,
couple. Yeah.
awesome. Have they seen Tiger King yet?
No. Yeah. No, we're not letting them.
Too young?
Yeah, my oldest is only 11, so.
Oh, so it's still young then.
And
Yeah. Let's see. Someone says you should open a zoo in California, your own little zoo.
California is one of the few states that has very, very strict protocols.
Yeah,
So that would be difficult. And I
yeah,
do appreciate that you guys know that I would love to continue my work with animals. But in all honesty, right now as it stands, I couldn't tell you what's best for them. You know, I
yeah.
spent investing my life into the advocacy of them, and as it stands, don't know what's best. So I think I'm just going to
It's a
take a
tough call.
breather, take a step back, and kind of figure that out first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Judy wants to know, do you have a favorite pet while you were film or while you were at the zoo?
You know, I think I do. I'd like to say no, but I definitely
Yeah.
do. Khan was my first adult male tiger. And he was a beast of a tiger. He was a beautiful white Bengal tiger. And he was I think not just my favorite or not my favorite, but he was my first. He was my introduction, you know? So
Yeah.
I think it's just sentimental value, really. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Who are you still in touch with from the zoo?
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody, and it's just per my choice. You know, when I decided to walk away, I just went ahead and disconnected from everything and everybody. So,
Yeah.
yep.
I have to say, Saff, it definitely sounds like you are the fan favorite out of everyone from the series. You know, everyone online is all, Team Saff, and
Yeah, it seems that
we're all
way,
for it.
but it does. It definitely seems that way. You know, it's surreal for me,
Yeah,
um, because I don't think I've ever been any different.
right.
Was my passion. I was able to live my dream out, man, and I just feel like I got extremely lucky, and I'm thankful for that experience.
That's awesome. I'm curious, what kind of training do you have to go through, or did you go through when you first started there?
Yeah, definitely hands on. You know,
Yeah,
I didn't have any education other than what I Googled, you know, my silly Google questions. Um, and my first interaction with a full grown tiger, I mean, there's no words that can explain that. You know,
yeah,
when you find something that you love doing, I mean, you just kind of put your all into it. You know, I didn't have
right.
anything else on in my life. I just got out of the military. So I wasn't committed to everything else. So I was able to consume myself and with these animals. And it was lovely,
Yeah,
man. Yeah,
that's incredible.
yeah, for sure.
Did you have any idea during the filming process that it would be this big? Like, did you ever think, all right, like I can tell that they're, filming it and they're, portraying this a certain way that when they do push this out, this is going to be as big as it is now.
Right. Yeah, no, I'll be honest. I knew there was a story to tell. I mean,
Yeah,
Joe in general is a story to tell.
right,
And then in these beautiful animals and just the amount, you know, that we had. But no, there's no way that I could have imagined it being like this. No way.
it's
You
crazy.
know, filmed us all the time. You know,
Yeah,
crews came all the time, so it just felt like another one of those moments. You know.
and they were filming this for over 5 years, right?
Yeah, yeah, I believe like
Wow.
2015 or so is when they started.
Yeah.
So
Wow. That's wild.
yeah.
Let's see what else. Any other fun facts or things that we don't already know about SAP that hasn't already been publicized in the news? I know we're not as cool as David Spade, which we all saw that one on one, but
Oh no, I mean David Spade was very cool just because I grew up watching him, you know,
yeah,
and
he's the man.
just a legit conversation with him.
Yeah,
But no, man, I'm your typical, you know, family guy. I honestly grew up, born and raised in Hawaii, so my life's always been pretty interesting
yeah.
to the rest of the people I've ever met or came across in my life. And then out of high school, I joined the military. And then out of the military, I joined the Tigers. So it's
Wow.
yeah, it's just been one thing after another. I love adventure. You know, I'm
Yeah.
ready for nature. Um, I think about consequences after, and I just kind of tough it out. So yeah, yeah.
I respect that. I
I,
respect that for sure. Let's see. Let's scroll through it once more for all the questions. Saff is my favorite. You're definitely the most level-headed person on the series, that's for sure.
Appreciate that.
Do you think Rick is the real deal, and why did he help Joe with all of his YouTube, broadcasts and his interviews?
Rick, the producer, Rick Kirkham.
Yeah,
Yeah, I obviously, he definitely has credentials for sure.
yeah.
Rick was in the business, and it was a business that Joe wanted to be a part of. Um, can you guys hear me? Sorry.
You can hear you, but the screen froze for a second. I think it's just a loading there. It's good. Oh, yeah. Joe Exotic definitely cut the feed from jail, Aaron. I was just thinking that same thing.
I'm going to try this one last time. I just spoke with Saff. He said he was having some technical difficulties on his end. He was trying to accept the request. Here we go. He just joined. Let's see if we can get it to work here. Fourth time is a charm, potentially. All right, here we go. Let's bring him in now.
All right. It's connecting. There we go. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what had happened there.
No, I don't know what happened either, but I'm glad we're
Awesome.
back.
Well, I hear the kiddos in the background, and we definitely don't want to take up too much more of your time, Saff. So there was just, I think, one or two more quick questions, and then we will let you go. And again, we appreciate all this time. Seriously.
I appreciate you guys allowing me to join. I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah. I know Zach had a question about everyone's favorite person, which is Carol Baskin, of course. I guess in a closed-ended question, which means it's either a yes or a no answer. Do you think she killed her husband?
Yes.
Without hesitation.
Yeah.
Without hesitation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess it's
there's
only
no other person that benefited from his disappearance. That's a
right.
fact.
And I guess it's only a matter of time before, that's discovered and it's a fact. And I mean, again, all the
Yeah,
evidence, leads to
yeah,
that.
but it's incredible that they're reopening the case. And again, that's just another benefit of this documentary. For
Right.
his sake. I mean,
Right.
that's still his father. So
Yep.
I'm glad for that for sure.
Right, for sure. That's definitely one of the larger positives that will come from the show, I believe, because just all the small pieces, that they did
Not,
show.
not much of a positive effect directly after the show, as far as the people involved, and I'm
Yeah.
glad. We all know where Joe is,
Right.
and I'm glad that at least that much. I mean, he couldn't speak for himself,
Yeah.
so that somebody did.
You don't think Joe will ever get out of jail, right?
I want to say that I hope that he does, just because I wouldn't want to see him die in jail. You
Yeah.
know, I wouldn't want to see anyone that I know personally die in jail.
Right.
But I do believe that's justice was served. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as the crimes that were committed by him personally, I mean, no one's above the law. And I think it's a good
Yeah.
lesson. Sure.
But I mean, listen, like even though you guys are friends and he's a good man, all in all potentially, but like from what we saw and then what was uncovered after, there's some footage of him hurting the animals, killing the animals, paying someone to potentially kill a human being. Like there's just so many small pieces that it does make sense for why he's in jail.
Right. That's exactly it. Everyone should be accountable for all their actions, and Joe's
Right.
included. And that's why I stand here saying, I mean, he's where he needs to be, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that he all his actions led him.
Yeah.
We need to stand by that, because that's what our justice system is for, man.
Right.
I country, you
Yeah.
know. But human to human, I've seen him do a lot of good too. you know, and I will always stand by that. You know, as far as
Yeah.
he's human at heart, and he made a lot of horrible mistakes. He did a lot of horrible things. I don't condone any of that.
Right.
The only reason I say I don't want to see him die in there is because human to human, I know his heart. So
True. All right. Well, we like to leave these IG live series during this whole time of
right.
chaos with the coronavirus and quarantine with our special guest, which is you tonight, with some positive words of wisdom and any type of advice that you can give everyone that will see this video after.
Yeah, my favorite line of all time. I say it to my own children: if you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough. So
Gonna be, I'm gonna
yeah,
have to write that one down and potentially use it. But it has to be the right circumstance. If you're gonna be tough, all right. Well, I mean, listen, that makes sense. You know, with everything that happened in the show and still happens in life. So
you're right. You're right. You know, I definitely don't have any regrets in my life, and I've done a lot of things. You know,
yeah,
so just live your life, man. I like
true.
being happy, and that's what I do. Every action I take
Yeah,
is directly towards that goal. So,
right. Happiness
yep,
is everything. So,
right. You're right.
all right, Seth. Thank you so much. Appreciate all your time.
Thank you for having me. Honestly,
Stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
sure. You guys take care.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it.